United States government is offering you a piece of land of your own.
We have our own land.
No, it's not yours. It's the U.S. government's.
Did they buy it?
No.
Did they trade for it?
Now, it's not like that.
Then how can they own it?
He has a point.
We will give you everything you need if you will just submit to living on a reservation.
We need nothing from you.
You can depend on your country to take care of you.
You are not my country.
Mr. Durant, if we could just...
Senator Crane has come here to offer your people a better way of life.
Better than what?
Better than what you have.
I like what I have.
Works. You pay taxes to the government pools that money and uses it to provide the people with essential goods and services that they need. In this country, we've got a different system for getting the things we need. Take healthcare. We pay taxes to the government, and the government gives our money to a middleman, for-profit insurance companies or for-profit health providers. And the insurance companies provide health coverage in exchange for maybe some more money from us, and a deductible that covers not everything, certainly not your teeth or your skin or your eyes. It's a pretty good system if you own an insurance company. Companies like United Health and Aetna collect 70% of their health plan revenue from government programs. Humana, 90%. These health plan businesses would not exist without our tax money. And it's not just healthcare. It's pharma, oil and gas, higher education. Taxpayers subsidize these industries who then take their profits, and we still pay so-called free market rates for their product. It's a classic double.
Black Panthers building their own medical center. Well, first of all, the Black Panther Party, attuned to the needs of black people and other oppressed people, is open a free medical center for the same purpose we open a free breakfast center, free breakfast program. It's to let the people know that we are concerned with their basic needs and desires, and also to educate the people to the fundamentals of socialism, and also to heighten the contradictions within this capitalistic system. When I mean heighten the contradictions, all I'm saying is that just let the people be aware of the fact that the Black Panther Party, an organization which only been existing since 1966, is taking care of people, helping them as far as health care is concerned, and the federal government, with all its wealth and resources, not doing anything on a major scale. You know, we in the Black Panther Party believe that that there is violence in this system. When I say violence, I'm not talking about the overt violence usually associated with the club, the knife, or the gun. I'm talking about the violence perpetuated.
Your take. The CEOs are people too, and they deserve more respect.
100%. Okay, I agree. CEOs are people, for sure.
Definitely.
But not in the way that you're saying.
Say more.
I think that they are human beings.
Okay.
But they're not people.
So human beings make mistakes, right? Human beings aren't perfect?
Yeah.
Right. So if a CEO does something that you would deem as a mistake or tragedy, I think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt. I think the good things that CEOs do outweigh the negatives.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
Okay.
You're saying that corporations, people like Jeff
Without
Bezos,
corporations, that we are
You've
alive.
interrupting me. It's a little.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's my show.
I'd like a second chance.
I'll give you a second chance.
I'll give you
give
me a second chance.
Just don't interrupt me again.
I won't interrupt you anymore.
Thank you. You think that CEOs, when they choose profit over people, are making a good decision?
No CEO chooses profit over people.
That's a myth.
They make mistakes. Everyone has bad days. I'm serious.
It sounds like you're a little upset about something.
I'm disappointed in the conversation that we're having
about CEOs.
Yes, definitely.
You think it's gone too far?
It's dangerous
for people like you. How much money did you make last year?
Where would we be right now without corporations and CEOs?
How much money did you make last year?
I made money. I'm not going to feel bad and feel shame for that. I don't think it's relevant to this conversation, though.
What's your plan with the new Enron?
Thank you for asking. First and foremost, we're here to solve the energy crisis. Electric cars and AI super data centers and crypto mining is creating a bottleneck for our energy grid right now that we're not able to sustain. And so Enron is back to solve that problem with a groundbreaking product on January 6th.
There's two on January 6th?
Yes.
That's a really interesting day.
Why?
I just think it's an interesting day to choose for a launch.
When people think about January 6th, 2 years from now, they'll remember what we're about to launch on January 6th.
And not about the insurrection.
Not about what happened at the Capitol.
Okay. Do you think corporations are people?
Of course.
Do you think corporations' lives matter?
Of course.
I'm done.
We're on the train
I think
right
let's
now,
end
which is
it.
run
Let's
by
end
a
it.
corporation.
Let's end it.
Feel fundamental reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those sweets start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are literally looking down on the faithful and being told, yeah, we're going to break down on them. We're going to make them pay their share. They paid 500, 700, $1 million, $1.5 million to have those seats. And the same thing is true with the Republican side. And they're going to take them down. They're going to change how it is. They are looking down from on high at the people who make the difference in their communities. And that is the reality of politics.
Alan, what are we doing here today?
Well, today we are sharing food with friends that we have donated and gathered from people who were donating.
And what's up with these 4 cops back here?
Well, they're trying to intimidate us. They don't like us sharing food in front of the library.
On average, we feed over 100 people, and they just sit out here and stare at us for the whole hour it takes to assemble the food that we make for the community and public, and then they ticket us.
Fucking sick of seeing people blame other people for not having community and saying that, oh, it's because they are introverted or they don't go outside or they choose this life for themselves. It is entirely a result of the government. You don't have community anymore because everyone has social anxiety nowadays. You have never had a critical thought in your life. You should naturally be around your community on a day-to-day basis without even trying, without even having to. Because they built every city around cars and not for humans, you don't see another person on your day-to-day basis. This kind of infrastructure forces us to spend money anytime we want to go anywhere, while also keeping us isolated from each other, and that is by design. So now you don't see people in passing when you're on your way to the grocery store or when you're taking the train home from work. Whereas if you were in a walkable city, you would have more of a community feel and you would actually see people in your community on a day-to-day basis. They took away all of our third places and then made it to where just hanging out outside, not spending money, is a crime of loitering. So that now, anytime we do hang out, we have to be spending money to do it. Not only that, but forcing everyone to work 40 hours a week and literally taking up their entire day from them. Like, if you think about it, a 9 to 5, that is the entire day. You get home at what, 5:30, 6, and then you have 3 hours to eat dinner, go to the gym, shower, get ready for the next day. You have no time for any of your own personal fulfillment or hanging out with your friends. They don't give you time for that. They don't care about that. They just want to extract your labor value. Also, the government go in decades trying to convince us that individualism is the way to go and that every single one of us needs our own house, our own microwave, our own refrigerator, our own space, or else we are literally failures. Let's bring back sharing, because I want to be in a community where my neighbor feels happy to come over and ask me for a little bit of sugar. Or if one of my roommates really needs me to come pick her up from the airport. We were all sold the lie that independence and individualism is what we should be doing and is going to make us happiest, when we are all now begging and desperately desiring for that community again. Most of the struggles that you have in life are caused by the systems that are put in place by our government. But ironically, instead of having compassion and consideration and community building skills, you decide to point the finger at a fellow person just like you who's probably experiencing most of the same struggles that you are too.
I've got this story of 2 strikes that happened in the 60s. The first strike was of garbage collectors. New York, 1968, lasted for 6 days. State of emergency had to be declared. Turns out we can't do without garbage collectors.
Right.
So at that point, I wondered, has it ever happened, in history, that the bankers went on strike? Yeah? So I started looking, looked at the past 5,000 years, basically, since the invention of money, and I found only one example, and this was in Ireland, 1970. The bankers were angry that their wages were not keeping up with inflation, so they said, you know what, you'll have it we're going to go on strike, and then you'll see just how important we are. And all the experts were like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a heart attack for the economy. And then from one day to the other day, 85% of the money supply was not accessible anymore. And then nothing much happened, actually. So the strike lasted for 6 months in the end. And after 6 months, the bankers came back and said, all right, we'll get back to work. And I think this is another example where history just makes you rethink, right? Who are the real wealth creators in this country? Does wealth really, is it really created at the top and then does it trickle down? Or maybe it's the other way around. And are the teachers and the garbage collectors and the nurses, are they the real wealth creators?
Wow, that's powerful, man.
Young men, typically throughout history, throughout time, have been the group to worry about. So strongly associated with violence that we call it the young male syndrome in our field, that this has always been a huge problem. Now, throughout history, you had kind of cultural or social institutions to deal with your population of incels. So, for example, the monastery would be one for sure, give a high status position to kind of channel these extra guys into. You'd create Vikings out of them. The Vikings were likely incels, not the sexy kind of Netflix Vikings that you think from the TV shows. The Portuguese explorers, there's strong evidence that they were incels, basically, sent on purpose missions to kind of basically get away from causing trouble around for everyone else.
I mean, can you define them as incels when sexual violence was a part of that conquest?
Right. So that's also a good point, that the motivation of acquiring mates has been a motivating factor for a lot of men to join terrorist groups. Even jihadi violence, it's the promise of brides in this life or the next. And when you talk to anthropologists who, there's one, Napoleon Chagnon, and he did some research with the Yanomamo, who are an extremely violent hunter-gatherer society in Bolivia. And he told them about why people in the West go to war, to spread democracy, free speech, things like this. And they were just falling off their chair laughing. They were like, what? Why would you? And he said, well, why do you go to war? And they were like, only one reason, to get mates.
Forget that humanity invented a fake resource and then let a tiny portion of the population use that fake resource to claim ownership of all of the real resources on the planet, hoard them, and then force the majority of people to sell the majority of their lives in service to them. And in return, the masses might be given enough of the actual resources they need to survive. And yet the people continue to go along with this. They keep pretending the fake resource is real. They have been successfully trained and gaslit into believing that the world could not function any other way. Programmed so thoroughly over multiple generations that the majority of people won't even question whether or not the world could or should be different. They don't realize that war is being waged against them. They no longer realize that they are slaves. And anytime you try to tell them, they just parrot the programming they've been fed their whole lives.